Hi and welcome everyone. Lisa here for Whimsy Stamps. Thanks for taking the time to join me. So today I'm sharing a super fun technique, negative and positive stamping. And we're going to be using a red rubber cling stamp for this, the marble background stamp from Whimsy. Few items that I recommend for this technique, the Whimsy Stamps marble background stamp. It's perfect for this. And Bristol smooth paper. Now I tried this technique with watercolor paper, but I didn't like the results nearly as much as I did with the Bristol Smooth. I found that with the texture in the watercolor paper, it just wasn't the look that I was trying to achieve, and that look is the look of dyed Easter eggs. So I prefer the Bristol Smooth paper. Now I'm using Distress Oxide reinkers because the consistency in the Distress Oxide ink is thicker than other reinkers. So it's much easier to apply it in those little negative areas of the stamp and know that it's going to stay where you put it until you apply water to it. And you don't have to rush with doing this by using the Distress Oxide reinkers. And you can see here, I'm just coming in and I'm applying ink in all the negative areas. And then we're going to spritz it with water. Now, I will say you can, as I spritz it with water, you can see the ink moving around. And I decided that I would close my MISTI upside down and then flip it back over so that I didn't have to worry about, while I was closing the lid down, all the ink and the water splattering where I didn't want it. Initially, when I did this, I spritzed it quite a bit, and I would recommend not using quite so much water as you're first starting out. Maybe do 4 light spritzes of water over your stamp and then close it and see what the results are, and then go back and add more water. So I started pretty heavy, but if you go too heavy, it's no problem. Have you some paper towels readily available and just use them to lift off any excess water. I also used it to pick up any areas that was pooling so that I wouldn't end up with a muddy look. You want this to look like a dyed egg. And I absolutely love this technique. It's so much fun. So you actually have enough ink left on your stamp. You could go ahead and do another piece of Bristol Smooth paper with this. Now, go ahead and let that dry while you clean up your stamp, and you can heat set it with a heat tool. I did. Put it back in your MISTI, and this time we're going to stamp using a sticky ink. So Versamark, Wow ink, or with the Ranger Medium for Perfect Pearls. Anything that is going to be clear and sticky that our Perfect Pearls can stick to. So once we stamp our positive image over that negative stamping that we did, we're going to go ahead and add Perfect Pearls to it, and you're going to see the Perfect Pearls pull that positive stamped image out over that gorgeous ink blended negative stamping that we did. And we have this beautiful paper here for our dyed Easter eggs. So I'm going to lightly brush off the excess Perfect Pearls and give you a close-up of our finished negative positive stamping. I think this turned out so pretty, and it's going to be gorgeous for Easter eggs. Now, while that dries, I'm just going to set it to the side and give that ink and the Perfect Pearls time to set and dry for a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and stamp some backgrounds. Now I'm using the Happy Saying stamp set from Whimsy, and I'm using the word Easter. And I'm stamping this onto a die cut panel from the Slimline Scenic Countryside die set. Now this die set is one of my favorites because it's just got nice, clean, simple lines, and that's what I prefer. So I went ahead and I die cut that frame out, and of course it gives me this center panel. Now I am going to be using the frame on my card base, and we'll have a look at that in just a few seconds. But for stamping the background, I'm just using the center cutout piece of that frame. And I'm just randomly stamping the word Easter with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink onto the panel. Now, I ended up getting about 7 eggs out of that, 7 to 8 eggs out of that stamped background that we did. So I'm going to use 6 of those eggs to create 2 cards with this. And once I got the Easter stamp on that panel, I'm going to come in and mark the center spot on the panel so I'll know exactly where to put my middle egg. And I added some square foam adhesives to the back of each egg so I could pop them up off of this panel. Here I went ahead and I used liquid adhesive to adhere that Slimline Scenic Countryside die frame to my card bases. Now my card bases are 3.5 inches wide by 8.5 inches high. I added mounting foam to the back of our stamped Easter egg panel and then removed that release paper from that adhesive and went ahead and centered those panels up in the middle of the frame. And that's pretty much going to wrap us up. These are easy to make. Let me know what you think about this technique in the comments below. Is it something you would try? For more information on the products I used, you can head over to the Whimsy Stamps website. I have links located directly below in the description box. Be sure to check those out for more information. I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of new content to the channel. As always, know how much we appreciate you taking the time to join us, and until next time, take care.